everyone, and welcome to this week's DSS Break. It's great to have you with us today. We're here live every other week to discuss the fascinating world of data science, AI, and machine learning in a 15-minute break. I'm Anna Annison, and I'm the founder of Data Science Salon. And today I'm streaming here live from our headquarters, which are located in the heart of Miami, just a few blocks from the design district. And I'm really excited about today's guest. He's calling in from Durham, North Carolina. Meet Sergey. He's the driving force behind data science at TelevisaUnivision, serving as their VP and head of data science. And with a rich background that spans media, finance, and cybersecurity, Sergey is shaping the future of audience engagement and business intelligence. A little bit of background about Sergey. He has a PhD in cognitive neuroscience from Dartmouth College and at TelevisaUnivision. He leads a team of he's responsible for leading the team of advanced analytics and data products. And these products focus on audience personalization, minimizing churn, and driving revenue, which is super important for every business. And he has previously worked at Paramount Global. That's where we met at TAPAD and in the financial and cybersecurity sectors. And he enjoys mentoring mentoring juniors at colleges and teaches data science courses at various educational institutions when time permits. And yeah, thank you so much for being here with us, Sergey. When does time permit to do all these things that you're doing?
And having children, right? Yeah, not a lot of time permitting for teaching anymore. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's really great to have you. And maybe we could start by, maybe you could tell me a little bit about how you got inspired to get into the field of machine learning and AI, because you've been in
absolutely. So I was doing my PhD, it feels like forever ago now, but 15 years ago, I started my PhD. And when I was about halfway through my PhD, I realized I was not going to be a professor. I wasn't going to go into academia. But the things that I liked the most about being an academic was tackling interesting technical problems, building models, doing interesting analyses, understanding or attempting to understand the underlying causes for things and seeing how we could actually alter what those causes were, all while basically coding, right? And so I thought, well, I want to do something as close to this as possible in the real world, right? In the non-academic world. And at that time, so this was probably around 2010, 2011, data science didn't exist as a field, right? There was basically they talked about big data and Hadoop was the thing. And basically they were talked about big data analytics and advanced data analytics. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. And that sounds sort of like what I do now. And so I took the plunge, and my fourth year of graduate school, or halfway through-ish my fourth year of graduate school, I started learning SQL, started learning basically things that they don't teach you or you don't really need to use. At least I didn't at the time in graduate school. And then, right when I was writing my dissertation, I just started manically applying for any jobs with advanced analytics or anything like that in the title. And I was fortunate to land a gig that I started basically the weekend after I defended my dissertation. And so I've been a data scientist ever since.
Cool. Well, that just sounds like, you knew what you were getting into, and I'm sure it's been a great ride.
Yeah, it's been great. I actually have no idea what I was getting into. I have no clue. So for anybody that's getting into it now, whatever you think, it's totally different. But I got very lucky, is what I would say. Is I think it's much more challenging to break into the field now than it was back then, because the field is more mature, et cetera. So it's a combination of luck and a little bit of determination.
Cool. Awesome. No, I think that's a great story. And let's get into kind of the technical part of things. I know that you do like technical talks and such. And which ways have TensorFlow and other AI frameworks been critical in achieving your objectives at TelevisaUnivision and other places you've worked?
Yes, I mean, I think open source software is like basically it's like the backbone. It's the nervous system. I don't even know what to describe it as. Basically, any advanced technical framework for model development, validation, really anything that's open source, customizable, and has really good documentation, or at least a community that is engaged, is absolutely critical for building state-of-the-art data science, machine learning, AI applications, data products, etc. And so TensorFlow is an example of that. I mean, we also obviously use other tools that are kind of older, more kind of have more history behind them, like scikit-learn, and then newer things that kind of build on top of TensorFlow. So we're using a library called RecBull. We're using another library called RankFM. Like, there's all sorts of really cool open source libraries that we leverage at TelevisaUnivision and at other places in the past. I mean, without them, I think most data science work becomes a slog. It becomes basically having to implement the algorithm yourself, which in many cases requires far more technical prowess than I or many of the people that I work with on a daily basis possess, right? You basically have to write the code from scratch. And so not having to do that, I think, is super, super important. I mean, it just unlocks, basically, it's kind of it's like the way that before Google, if you wanted to know how something worked, you had to like talk to like the wizened old person in your department that had like some book for BASIC or whatever language they used in the 90s. And they'd be like, oh yes, this problem, you have to go to the wizard on the mountain to figure that out. And then now you just Google it and it's right there. Or really, you don't even Google it anymore. Now you ask Bard or you ask ChatGPT or whoever it is, and they'll literally create a code template for you. It won't always work, but it'll create it for you. That's a different conversation. Anyway, the point is all of these open source frameworks are absolutely critical for accelerating your developmental velocity. And really, none of the data practitioners in the wider field would be anywhere really where they are without them.
Right. No, that makes a ton of sense. And maybe you could tell me a little bit about, I know you've built some really neat data products that have been really successful and powering especially personalization and advanced audience targeting. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, not giving away everything, because I know you're going to talk more about that at the conference, but maybe you tell us a little bit about those products, because I'm sure those are like the revenue generating things that they, people actually care about, the higher ups care about, right? So
Yep. So we have, we have three things that I'm really proud of on the team that we've built. I'll talk about two of them during the talk. So I'm actually talk about one of them that I won't talk about in the talk more now. So the three things are the graph, which is the Hispanic household graph. It's our secret sauce. It's our proprietary data asset that powers almost everything else that we do at TelevisaUnivision. Basically, it's a way for us in an anonymized, PII safe way to identify Spanish language media consumers, almost all of them basically in the United States. So if you like digital Spanish language media, you are probably, and you watch it, you are probably in our graph in an anonymized, privacy safe sense. So that's the first big data product. It's kind of like the data infrastructure for everything else. The second one is our embedding and lookalike modeling framework. So I'll talk about that during DSS in Miami as well. I'm also very excited about it. So this is basically a framework for us taking any custom audience that any advertiser has and finding other people that we know exist that act like and behave like those people that you want to target. So if you are, we talked about kids before this started. If you are a diaper purchaser and you are a diaper purchasing brand and you have a list of people that are active diaper purchasers, you give me that list. I run it through my fancy lookalike modeling framework that leverages embeddings, and I get a larger list of people that look a lot like them that you probably want to target. And then you can, hey, guess what? Target them on our platforms.
Cool.
So that's the second cool product. The third one, the one that I'm also very excited about, but really, really proud of the work that one of the guys on my team, Chris Woodward, did, is the personalization engine, the recommendation engine that we have powering VIX, which is our direct-to-consumer platform. And that is really interesting and cool because it is something that doesn't exist really anywhere else in the streaming marketplace today. So the streaming marketplace today, you have either direct-to-consumer paid streaming apps like your Paramount Global or Paramount Plus or Netflix or whatever. And then you also have your AVOD, totally free to stream applications. For example, like Tubi or Pluto TV. No service is a combination of both, right? VIX is a combination of both of those things. We have a paid tier, we have a free tier. But what's also interesting is, from a technical perspective, all of those free services, they give you, you can watch free stuff on them without ever logging in, right? So you basically just show up on the platform, right, and you just start watching crap. If you download Tubi or you download Pluto TV, you can just watch stuff, and they don't know who you are, right? And so they don't really do a lot of personalization there. I mean, they'll claim that they do stuff, but my bet is that they probably do not. But again, don't sue me, Paramount or Tubi. We also have that same issue, but we have actually unlocked personalization capabilities because why? Because we have the Hispanic household graph, right? Because we can probabilistically link back multiple device identifiers back to a household and then offer up personalized recommendations for video consumption. So super cool, super awesome. I'm very excited about it. It exists live in the app. And yeah, so those are the three things that we built, two of which I'll talk about at DSS Miami in more technical detail, one of which just don't have enough time because it's only a 30-minute talk.
Cool. No, thanks for sharing. I'm really excited to hear more. And what are some trends? Let's talk a little bit about kind of trends that you're seeing that's going to affect your work in the near future. I mean, maybe more like, I know everybody's talking about like LLMs and ChatGPT, but maybe something else.
Yeah, that's boring. That stuff is so boring, guys. Like that's so overhyped. Okay, so those are great, fine, whatever. Everyone's gonna lose their jobs and everything's gonna be automated and whatever. They'll think for us. So the things that I'm more excited about are really around instrumentation. So everyone talks about the sexy stuff when it comes to data science and machine learning. Like, oh yeah, there's a crazy natural language model and it can predict everything and whatever. But the stuff that actually unlocks value for data teams is better instrumentation, where you can literally plug point A into point B and things just flow in and it's natural and you don't have to touch anything and it doesn't break. And it alerts you when things are weird, when the number of when the trends in terms of the number of records that you expect to see are going in a direction that you didn't expect, or you're seeing things like, hey, this column that's supposed to have a bunch of different values actually has one value in it now for 4 days, and we don't really know why. So that kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff that has been done manually by people like me that stay up at night thinking, oh my God, is my pipeline going to break? Oh my God, is this thing going to break? This kind of tooling is getting better and better and better every week, right? Like there are all of these cool instrumentation tools that are out, like the biggest one like being DBT. There are all sorts of data engineering, data infrastructure, analytics engineering things that are they're like the underpinnings of all of this stuff. But having those things solved is, or not solved, but solvable and easier to solve and easier to monitor, I think is really, really exciting, at least for the other stuff, to be able to do all the other cool stuff where you can throw your data into your own proprietary LLM that will solve all your questions for you. At the end of the day, if the data instrumentation is garbage, no LLM is ever going to fix it for you, right? And you put garbage into your LLM, you're going to get gobbledygook on the way out. So those are the things that I'm most excited about. Yeah.
Are there some like specific products that do that? I mean, I know
So yeah, DBT. So DBT is like a product that we leverage a lot and we really, really love. There are other instrumentation products that are more like open source. I can't really think of any others off the top of my head, but there are a lot of cool things you can start doing now that are just that you really didn't have the ability to do 5 years ago that are really just awesome. And those are the things that I'm excited about.
Cool. Well, we have time for one more question, and I'm going to ask you about how do you foster innovation within your data science team? Because that I know that in your field, people move quite frequently between jobs.
Yep.
So I think as a manager, you probably really have to figure out
Yeah.
how to retain them. So maybe you could share a little bit of schooling on that.
Right. So, well, right now, so I mean, our team is very young. So I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary at TelevisaUnivision, and everyone on the team, other than one person, was net new. Basically, I hired them, and so far, knock on wood, nobody's left yet. The way that I try to keep them engaged and interested is you try to get them out of their comfort zone. So there's a famous Vygotsky, who's a famous Russian developmental psychologist. He talks about the zone of proximal development for children. Now, I'm not trying to compare my direct reports into children. That is not, so if any of you guys are watching this, please do not think that's what I'm saying. But I think analogously, this applies in the work environment. So the zone of proximal development is a place where you are slightly beyond your current skills, whatever they might be, but it causes you, when you're doing something that's in that zone, it causes you to learn better, and it causes you to actually try to reach for those goals. So if you give somebody something that's outside of their zone of proximal development, it's too hard, they basically give up, right? Like everyone does that. Maybe some people try a little harder, but like if you can't do the thing because you don't have the skills to do it, and it's really hard for you given your current skill set, eventually you're just going to give up, right? But if you put something right in that proximal zone of development, you get excited, and you get, I mean, obviously, as long as you're paid well and you like the work that you do, it actually also makes you more excited, and it adds to that ability to retain. So I try to do that. I don't always succeed. Like sometimes you got to do boring crap that you don't want to do. But I try to give everyone on my team something that I think is within that, when I'm thinking about it, within that zone of proximal development. So, we try to do that. I think I'm also going to try to start getting them to just switch projects completely. Maybe we'll do that soon, where they just have to learn what somebody else on the team is completely doing from scratch. Maybe that'll get them excited. I don't know. So TBD.
No, that's great advice, because I think that it really challenges people, and I think in your industry, people are there to be challenged, right? So no, thanks for sharing that, and thank you so much for spending time with us today, Sergey. It was a pleasure to have
My
you.
pleasure.
And as we wrap up, we know that we're really excited about DSS Miami coming up on the 19th. And Sergey is going to share more details in his talk about what we talked about today, which is super interesting. So we'll see you guys in person and virtually. And thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of the week, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So this was awesome.